Hi, Jim again. This is video number 2, primarily related to the budget, how what happened, and what we should all do about it. Before I do, there was one thing I left out from the prior video, which was about the election and the current status, as you may recall. The election, as I've already mentioned in the prior video, was illegal for a variety of reasons. One is the signature that was required on the outer envelope of a 5-part secret ballot. I already talked to you about that. But I want to show you something very interesting. When Mary's committee was tasked with doing the budget after the nominating committee's fiasco, the first thing she did was go to Bonnie Cullen and ask her to create these ballots. Well, Bonnie had never done that before. In all these years, I have always done them for each of the first vice presidents involved. In some cases, the treasurers were involved, but I had always done them. This year, they tasked Bonnie, and she came to me for help. You know me, the way I am, I will not turn down a legitimate offer for help. And so when Bonnie asked me for my assistance, I created the ballots from my prior ones and gave them to her, thinking that she could just photocopy them, fold them up, mail them out to you, and we'd have a legal budget. And that was going beautifully. Bonnie did a great job with that. This is what I gave her. You'll recognize this. This is the letter with instructions, and this is the ballot itself. Legal ballot in accordance with Robert's rules. I also sent Bonnie a copy of Robert's rules, the section that identified the requirement for this right here. This is the write-in that gives you the opportunity to vote as you see fit and not have to pick somebody that the nominating committee tells you to vote for. It's right in Robert's rules. Don't understand why Mary and Carol Stone couldn't figure out that this is the way it's supposed to be done. But this, with the write-in vote, evidently scared them to death. She took this, she whited out the sections that I have on here about the write-in vote, and sent it back to Bonnie to send out as the election ballot. I mean, sometimes I just shake my head and laugh at the stupidity that they do here, but that's the second attempt to do something for the Skipper's Cove Beach Club that turned out to be a disaster, not in compliance with Robert's rules. And this is what you got. A lot of people call me, well, how should I vote? How should I vote? I'll tell you how it's going to go down. I can predict how it's going to go down. The tellers committee is going to get your vote. They're going to open it up. And by the way, this is not a secret ballot. You don't have the signature on the outer envelope. You don't have that, but you do have to have this filled out properly and put in the envelope for return. So the tellers committee is going to look at that and they're going to say, "Oh, you've marked the ballot in a way inconsistent with the instructions, and that's because the instructions told you to do the write-in if you so choose." But she took this out too, modified it. So now, what do you have? You have a ballot that you must select from the people that are there or not vote at all. So what will happen is the tellers committee will look at your ballot, they will see that you have marked it in a way that's inconsistent with what they wanted, and they will toss your ballot as being not eligible. That's a shame. That to me, again, that's an absolutely unprofessional, unrealistic way to run the Skipper's Cove Beach Club or any other corporation for that matter. This is absurd. But that's the way it's going to go down. Now, an election such as this one is an election of 50% plus one of the members who have returned the ballot. That's very important, and that's the reason I'm not pushing this. Again, two reasons. One, I don't want the damn position. And the other thing is, that it's only 50% plus one. So theoretically, with just 3 people returning a ballot, 2 of them voting for the same person, the other one either didn't vote that way or was deemed to be an incomplete ballot, either way, they still win because it's 50% plus one. It's a highly rigged system that they've put together, and they took the authority away from you to have a real vote. And that's what I want to tell you about. It's not going to change this election. Vote. No, it doesn't. It's not going to make any difference. But think about it for next year's election or for the recall in January. Think about the way things have to be in order to be compliant with the law. All right. The topic of this video number 2 was supposed to be the budget. So let's talk about the budget. Yeah, I might have to do this ad lib because I don't want to start the video over again. So I'll do it ad lib. The budget is an annual requirement that comes to you by way of the Division of Consumer Affairs. It is a process that must occur and must occur in a certain way. Now, common sense, and only common sense, tells you that when you vote on a set amount for the following year, that amount is what you've signed for. It's like a contract, like buying a car. You know, if you agree to $20,000 for a car and you sign it, that's what you should expect to pay. You shouldn't have an open-ended deal with the beach club or anybody else where you sign for a certain amount and then they can change it. And that's exactly what they did in this case. They sent you a budget that I call open-ended. And that's because the way this went down is when Marion and Rita and Peggy blew this thing up, they caused a whole lot more problems for themselves and for others around them than just blowing up the nominating committee's selections. They have also blown up the budget because Mary Solomar and I had worked very carefully on the budget, and this all happened prior, and we had sat down and we had agreed, and I had sent you this for my budget inputs for 2017. And they were all lower. We weren't expecting the same expenses as we had in 2016. The budget was a solid one. Mary had agreed $175 dues for 2017 would cover the budget as we saw the needs, with the exception of the Marina project. The Marina project, we were waiting for the bids to come in. We had 3 that were actively bidding, and most active of those was Alberts Marine. Unfortunately, Alberts Marine sent us proposals that were incomplete and did not adequately describe the work that we were asking them to do for their bid proposal. And so we kept sending it back. I kept sending it back to Albert. No, it's not this linear footage. It's not this construction. It's not this material. It's here's what we want. Let's get the budget. Let's get the proposal accurate with a number so that we can continue on and put it in the budget for 2017. Well, that was in the works. That was in the process when this whole thing blew up. And when it did blow up, I just went to them and said, guys, you know, there's absolutely no way now with somebody new coming in. Oh, of course, Kane Ernest, as the Marina director, said, I've had it with this. I'm not going to deal with these people. So he quit. He resigned. And I had already announced my intention to resign. So it was a real problem. It was a timeline crunch that we were coming up against that we just were not going to be able to resolve. So in my meetings with Mary Solomar, I had told her that based on some of these proposals, early proposals that were coming in, it looked like the numbers were going to be about $200, $250 per linear foot for the first of the proposals and more for the second of the proposal, which included more work. So instead of verifying, instead of waiting for the actual number to come forth, they just went out with this budget that says we're going to add the number later. Well, it's not the way it works. You sign a budget, $175, and that's what you're committed for 2017. It's not an open-ended thing where they can add money later and commit you to a number. It's just ridiculous. And yet that's what happened. So now I've complained to them about that. I've told them that this isn't legal. And they put a new person, which I like very much, Bob Deedy, very, very nice guy. And he's trying to put something together, but he can't put it together without violating the rules. The budget's already gone out. You can't tell people that after the fact we're going to add money. So what did they do? Well, they didn't do that. They said we're going to do it with existing funds. Well, I don't think there's anybody in Skippers Cove Beach Club that knows more about existing funds and what we have and how it's divided and what the laws are than me. And there are 3 different funds that they can draw from using existing funds, but only one legally can they draw from, and that's the Marina Reserve Fund. That's it. The others are earmarked for other projects and cannot be withdrawn for purposes other than what they were originally set up for without your permission. You have to vote on that. The bylaws are very clear. They cannot spend more than $1,000 of unbudgeted funds unless they have your approval to do so in writing. So they have to go out for another vote to get your blessing to approve the additional amount. And they can't really do that until they know what that amount is. And as of today, November 16th, they still don't know what the final numbers are. But they've told you, haven't they? They've told you, we're going to do it. We're going to do it from existing funds. Really? Really? How are they going to do that? That's what I want to know. So that concludes. There's probably a few things. Oh, there's one thing. I want to read to you a piece of correspondence that I had sent to Bob Deedy, who again is a very nice guy. I want to help the guy out, I really do. But more importantly, I want to help you guys out to get this project done, which I do think is a very, very important project. Now, Bob had sent out a note to you. I guess it was an email. I don't think they have a newsletter system, so it was an email to all you guys, and dear Skippers Cove members, let me first introduce myself. I am Bob Deedy, and he goes on to explain what he's done and what he thinks is the right way to proceed. Very nice, very nice, just highly illegal. So I wrote back to Bob and I said, quote, "Be careful, Bob. There are a few things to consider to protect yourself. First, any unbudgeted expense over $1,000 must go out for formal approval by vote in accordance with Article 6, Section 2, Subchapter A. This project was not in the budget, and it is therefore mandatory that a separate formal vote be conducted. This vote must result in an approval by 50% plus 1 of those that respond. Since you are proposing to use existing funds, this would not be an assessment. But formal membership approval is necessary in accordance with the bylaws to prevent a lawsuit. There also needs to be a proposal that includes the materials to be used. Not only the materials to be used, but the cost of labor, the warranty, the total cost of the project. These are all mandated by existing law. This isn't something we're making up. The existing law mandates this. Bob, you are new to the Cove. Don't let this small group of wayward incompetents steer you in the wrong direction, because when the subpoenas arrive, they will drop you like a hot potato. Believe me, I know. Most of them are salesmen, insurance, film salesmen, real estate agents. They have a different way of life. Rise above their nonsense and know the law that they are asking you to violate. I spent a full year